we are Phoebe Asperin, Canseko, Chiu, Nat Francisco, and Anabelle Tan, and we are from Group 6. So, how's everyone been since COVID started? I guess I can start. We've been doing online class all this time.
Mag-agree naman, medyo hectic, but kaya naman.
That's true. I think for me though, personally, I miss going outside and seeing and like breathing in the outside air. I actually feel like it's high time for me to take a drive. Although I would have thought that it would be less polluted because of the pandemic, since a lot less people are going out and all.
That's because our country really lacks green spaces, and only a few cities promote these spaces.
Yeah, so this was actually tackled in a study by Salama et al. In 2021. So they were just saying that the Philippines has a lot more malls than green spaces since we go to malls for a lot of leisure activities, which is why we have a very consumerist, fast-paced, and kind of wasteful lifestyle.
Yeah, plus it's extremely hot in the Philippines without green spaces, just like in this one study I read on Vietnam in 2019, where the researchers found that there was a decrease in green spaces due to urbanization, and this made the surface temperatures go significantly higher, which I guess just means that our country should have more green spaces. So let's try to create some nearby and maybe find them within our own cities.
G, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Hello, I'm Jewel and I'll be talking about the green spaces near me. So I'm currently in our porch, and as you can see, we have a ton of plants here from top to bottom, left and right. So ever since the pandemic started, my family is becoming Plantitos and Plantitas. As you can see here, we have potted ones, hanging ones. If you go to the front of our porch, you can see more plants here, and it's basically a garden-ish. Then if you go to the side of our house, you can see a few more potted plants, which makes our house nice and breezy. Another one of the green spaces near me is the gazebo area in my village. Before the pandemic, this was where kids used to play and run around, and also where people dribbled and played basketball since there was a basketball ring here before. Hi, so as stated in an article by the World Health Organization in 2017, urban living really limits the access to nature and can increase exposure to certain environmental hazards such as pollution. However, the existence of green spaces can promote a more sustainable lifestyle, whereas urban green spaces also provide opportunities for the more active lifestyles. Green spaces and other nature-based solutions ensure that urban residents have adequate opportunities for exposure to nature. And furthermore, urban biodiversity is maintained and protected, environmental hazards are reduced, impacts of extreme weather events are mitigated, quality of urban living is enhanced, and the health and well-being of residents is improved. For instance, urban green space interventions include roadside greeneries, small urban green spaces, green roofs and facades, parks, and recreational and urban gardening facilities. Facilitated access to urban woodlands, forests, and natural wildlife areas are also a goal of urban green spaces. Okay, so let's see what Annabelle's doing right now.
Hi everyone, I'm Annabelle and today I'll be showing you the green spaces near me. So yeah, let's go!
Okay, so as you can see here, this is Cavite. There are a lot of green spaces in the village, but as you can see, they're not exactly the kind of green spaces that you can sit on for long. Though, if it's repurposed, we can in the empty lots. Though it does give the whole purpose of green space to show a different scenery, and it gives a different vibe from the metropolitan area. Here's another green space looking area. It's taller and flatter, as well as the glass. So you could probably have a picnic here.
Okay, so there was actually a study done by Salama et al. On green spaces in the Philippines made just this year, 2021. So they were talking about how, like the videos I showed you earlier, green spaces here in the Philippines aren't exactly user-friendly.
The study says that because of the lack of infrastructure to make green spaces more comfortable and enjoyable, leisure in our country equates to going to malls, which was often the case before COVID happened, because there's places to sit, eat, there's aircon, there's a lot of things you can do. So because of this idea of leisure that we have here, green spaces aren't given much priority. The authors were saying that to change the overall metro view of leisure from being a small centered area to a green space centered area, we need to incorporate some of the things in malls to the green spaces. This would mean placing more benches, having flatter spaces with grass, having picnic mats available, food stalls, trash cans. Overall, just places where people can find cover in case it's too sunny or in case it rains, so that they can still have leisure time but still find it enjoyable.
Overall, the study was just saying that having more green spaces in the Philippines could change our culture altogether, and we can focus less on the hyperproductivity culture brought by the digital age to a culture that's more concerned about the environment. So that's it for me. I'll be handing it over to Nat to see what he's up to. Bye!
Hey guys, I'm Nat, and a few weeks ago I drove around the green spaces around Marikina. Let's go take a look. Okay, first green space in Marikina, Freedom Park. Used to come out here a lot as a teenager back in high school. As you can see, there's a lot of trees, like a lot of benches for people to sit down on. It's a really nice place. Kind of miss it actually. Second green space, River Bronx. This used to be a place where people can run up to and sit down on the grass and look at the stars and the sky. It's pretty nice. I kind of miss it also. So next to Marikina River, connects to Pasig River also. Okay, so I'll be briefly talking about the reading by Hack. It's a 2011 reading which basically talks about the challenges as well as the benefits of having green spaces all around Asia. So some of the benefits that green spaces have include biodiversity, pollution control, as well as it makes the city a little bit more aesthetic. It can also have a lot of psychological benefits as well as social benefits that can be of good use to a lot of people living in the city. However, there are some challenges which include socioeconomic and demographic factors such as functionality of the green spaces themselves, and as well as there might not be a lot of spaces available for green spaces all around the city. However, urban spaces are also an integrative form of long-term protection of environmental sustainability because it can increase the quality of life, like the air that we breathe in, like especially if it is a very polluted city. Having green spaces will help that. Also, it can provide an ecosystem wherein recreation and relaxation are given importance. I'll be passing on the ball now to Chiu.
Hi everyone, I'm Chiu, and I would like to take you on a quick tour of some green spaces around me, but unfortunately there aren't that many, which is a pretty bad sign considering why we're advocating for green spaces. If you're watching this at around the same time that I'm filming this, which is late November in the Philippines, then you'll notice that despite the fact that we're supposed to be well into our cold season, it's still pretty hot. The plants here in my neighborhood kind of help, but green spaces are supposed to be much more important when it comes to Earth's surface temperatures. A 2019 study on the capital of Vietnam, one of the hottest and highly urbanized cities in the country, found a substantial increase in Earth's surface temperatures in areas that experienced a significant decrease in green spaces due to the rapid urbanization process. So, the less green spaces there were, the hotter. Which is why spaces like this are important to the environment. There's lots of trees and other plants, and there's an open area with lots of grass. Plus, it's a pretty nice place to hang out. You can see buildings, and there are roads cutting through. And that's because urban green spaces don't have to take away space for important infrastructures, because they can be integrated together. It'll help the environment, and let's be honest, it's really pretty. However, some previous studies argued that the coefficient between green spaces and Earth's surface temperatures was not actually significant enough to justify an increase in green spaces for practical urban planning. So, the researchers from the Vietnam study that I mentioned earlier actually calculated the cooling extent and intensity of heating reduction that occurs in green patches. Urban green spaces are able to do this by providing shade and aiding the process of evaporation. look at this. A big, open green space where lots of people can come to chill out, have a picnic, go around biking or walking. You could probably even hold an event here. Like I said, green spaces don't have to just be there. They can be actively utilized in all sorts of ways while passively helping the environment. Anyway, back to the study. The researchers actually found that increasing the area of green spaces increased the intensity of heat reduction as well as increased the cooling range, which meant that urban areas around the green space also experienced a cooling effect thanks to that green space. And that's pretty much it for me.
Hi, I'm Phoebe, and I'm going to give you 4 tips on how to make green spaces at home. The first tip is to designate a space for your greens. This space should be accessible by sunlight. Avoid dry and cold areas such as your room where you sleep and you have the aircon on. And this space must protect your greens from pests and from prey. You'll see in one of my examples here is we recently just started planting a bit of greens, vegetables in our rooftop, and we put it in our old cage so that my dogs won't be able to have access to them and it will be protected from birds. The second tip is to plan your plants and your aesthetic. What kind of plants do you want to have? Do you want flowers? Vegetables? Make sure these plants fit the space you've designated for them. So how do you do this? Know your plants. What do they need to thrive? How big will they get? What plants can you have indoors, outdoors, and what are their maximum sizes? For your aesthetic, what is your color scheme? What are the colors of your pots and your stands? These things may not seem that important, but planning your aesthetic will help you get more inspired and be more active in the green space that you are making in your home. And the third tip is get inspiration from the green spaces around your city and from our senior plantitas. And the fourth and the last tip is to have fun. This is not something that is required of you to do, but it is something that will benefit you, the people around you, and the environment. Now those were the 4 tips on how to make green spaces at home. Let's go back to the group.
Okay, so there are actually a lot of benefits to having green spaces in the country despite the lack of this. And we saw that in the vlogs that everyone showed. So the reason we actually created this vlog was because the environment faces a lot of problems today, as seen in the rapid urbanization when it comes to construction of buildings and other establishments that kind of decrease the dedicated space for green spaces. And because of this, there's an increase in pollution, air pollution, and noise pollution as well.
Yeah, in the context of the Philippines, specifically Metro Manila, roads designed for cars are preferred over walking spaces for people, and there is a clear lack of green spaces such as parks, fields, and community gardens.
And besides that, the lack of green spaces actually increases the Earth's surface temperature within that area, which can really affect daily living in a lot of various ways. With this, our group has the question on how we can alleviate the lack of green spaces in the city, and we want to explore that and answer that. And yeah.
So we've seen the importance of green spaces, and as a group, we really want to promote its use and its importance. And if ever in our cities they are not promoting the green spaces, we can start small. And as the saying goes, every small step counts. So if we start at home, then maybe we can change our city.
Yeah, so that's a wrap for us. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. This has been Group 6. Bye.
Bye.